And good morning, and welcome to Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin. And as always, we hope to bring you a power-packed 2 hours of news and information in and around the metropolitan Detroit area. But before we get started, just want to make sure to let everybody know that this is going to be a productive and a phenomenal weekend for everybody listening to the sound of my voice today. And we hope that everyone has an opportunity to go and hopefully cheer these Lions on this weekend. We hope that this game is going to be just as productive as it was last week. And we hope that there are no issues when it comes down to any fans that may be enjoying the game. So we're praying that there's a lot of not just energy when it comes to the Detroit Lions, but also want to say go Tigers, because the Tigers are pretty much like on the precipice of being in a wild card spot to be in the playoffs. So again, we've got two teams that we want to get excited for, we want to root for, and we want to definitely keep them lifted up in our fan base, that they will be successful, not just in this season, but also in the postseason as well. But today, I've got a few other announcements that I make, but I definitely don't want to leave out my phenomenal guest today on the show. And I'll start with my one guest, who's one half of The Bachelor and the Bachelorette. And as you probably see, when you're looking at the telecast, you'll see she has her black and gold t-shirt on that says Bachelorette. So this is one half of The Bachelor and Bachelorette, Miss Vicki Dobbins. So most of you know her as Miss River Rouge, but now she's also a person she's got a book between her and Ron Dupree, and she again is one half of The Bachelorette and Bachelor. And my other guest is Mr. Norman Clement from Detroit Change Initiative. And when you need information when it comes down to the redistricting, when it comes down to the House and Senate districts, when it comes to anything as it relates to politics, or when it comes down to the people up in Lansing, the people throughout the state that govern different cities, different municipalities, different communities and counties, Mr. Norman Clement and his staff is one that knows. If you can't find it out from Norman and his staff, it probably hasn't been written. So they are the experts when it comes to that. But again, want to thank Norman and thank Vicki for being on the show today. And also too, before we get started, want to let everyone know in Florida that may be on the path of Hurricane, is it Helena or Helene? How do you say it, Norman?
Helena.
Anyone that's in the path of Hurricane Helena to seek shelter, stay safe, and follow the direction that the governor and other officials, to give you, because we want everybody to, be safe during this time. But we pray that everyone attain safety, and those that may have loved ones down in the Florida area to give them a call and check on them to make sure that they are staying safe. Norman, this has been a really interesting week. I know we've missed you on the show for the past couple of weeks because you've been to DC and you've done a variety of other things. But Norman, just kind of share with our viewing audience today. What's on your mind today?
Definitely what's on my mind is the impact of climate change down in Florida. Mm-hmm. Understand that Florida is in a unique desperation is that their homeowners insurance is not there in Florida. There's no homeowner insurance. Most of the insurance companies have left. And a lot of people may have flood insurance, they may have wind damage insurance, but not homeowners insurance. And so that's the question that begs me is the policies that are happening going on in Florida. Also talking about the restriction of reproductive freedom rights and with women there. They have a reproductive freedom bill in Florida right now. That's on my mind. And then also what's going on in New York. The mayor Eric Adams is under federal indictment for embezzlement. Several departments have been, not just his department, but the chief of police, the chief of fire department, leadership, all of them have had their phones taken and investigated. So it doesn't mean that they're guilty or anything, but it is something there where, when you're talking about candidates who are running for elected offices and those who are supposed to represent the people, that those who look like us, that race a couple of years ago had a chance to elect Maya Wiley. They had a chance to elect her to be the mayor of New York. And so some things like this does sometimes, unfortunately, decisions does. Sometimes we got to look at the bigger picture of something that's a familiar face and something that is recognizable and that can come party of both lines. You got to do the will of the people. Mm-hmm. And these are things that has been transpiring with Eric Adams. Now, it's nothing new. These are history and patterns. So, to my folks, who are looking to run for mayor, who are working for city councilman, who are looking to run for police commissioner, let's start using that thing and say, hey, that person had something in the past a couple of times. Folks who are running for elected office next year for the city of Detroit, we got to start looking at those people who are looking to run right now and see if they have any skeletons in the past. And so something like that, we won't go through that same thing in Detroit. So that's on my mind right now. Yeah,
because I think the vetting process probably needs to be something that people need to really look at. It was interesting, Norman, that, I was looking at the news where they were talking about the vetting process that they did for the Golden Bachelorette. Mm-hmm. And, I guess there was a couple of the people. I know there was one gentleman that was one of the candidates that apparently had a restraining order, out on him. And they were wondering, how did they miss that, in the process of vetting, the bachelors that were vying for the bachelorette's, attention. So that's that was an issue mm-hmm. that people had. And I think that, there's other things that are going on now that people are probably looking at doing a little better of a vetting process, to screen candidates, especially when you have candidates or you have people that are interested in certain things that have already been accused of right. something, and in some cases may have been found guilty of. Right. But, just like when you see a lot of the police officers that may have come from one station and then going to another station, whereas if that person has some issues with, people that they apprehended or people that were incarcerated, there's an issue that people should really kind of look into why that person left from one position and now coming someplace else. Yeah, we know that people deserve second chances. Exactly. And everything. So we're the land of second chances. The land of second chances. Everybody has good second chances. Mm-hmm. But also, too, we got to understand that some things that you like the person, they may get a second chance. I may not be able to get a second chance on this particular thing because it's too great a precious of a resource that everybody has the benefit of, where I can't give you a second chance on this. I can give you a second chance on something around that, something that's supportive of that. But with this thing alone, it's too precious where, hey, let's think of the bigger picture. And because we can't let it fail. And then unfortunately in New York, it's after a black man in New York. And so I'm thinking about all the black elected officials that can get a chance to run next time. Will that be a case in the city of New York? And so we have to think about that. Understand, unfortunately,
people do crime all the time, no matter white, black, or whatever.
And people make mistakes.
People
I mean, it doesn't even
all the
necessarily
time.
be a crime, but it could just be a mistake. Right.
But we got some things we got to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And then unfortunately, it's the way the world is. And so that situation is fast. But we also got to remember that, you know, we do the bidding of the people. And the people deserve the best standard that they can have. And then those things we definitely got to look at.
So, gentlemen, you know, while we try to investigate people, there's always going to be someone who will slip through the crack. Mm-hmm. We have a doctor who has taken pictures of children, women, and have actually violated thousands of people. Nobody recognized him as a predator until just recently. So we are, while we think that these people are okay, you just never know. We have that situation just happened in River Rouge, that a policeman was on the force, and he evidently chose a girlfriend. He began to stalk her, but come to find out, when they looked at his history, he had done the same thing in Dearborn, and he has a wife and children. So, you know, these things happen. You just don't know until you find out.
Right.
You know, so while we do background checks, and I've been checked many times, 10 years, but what if it was 20 years? You know, we just never know.
Right.
You cannot be specific about people's background. So while we talk about the mayor here, guess what? They've been giving gifts to mayors and governors and presidents for years. What about the judge? They gave him a nice little cruise. Okay? But these things have been going on for years and years. So how far do we challenge this? I mean, I guess we take it to the limit. That's okay. Yeah, we take it to the limit. But I mean, there's always going to be something that's going to come up, and we think that we're checking everyone. Somebody might get through the crack.
Well, I think, Vicki, Norman, that a lot of people don't really, you know, you have a lot of people that may have gotten caught doing something, but then there's also people that haven't gotten caught. And just like you were saying before, you could have a person that, you know, when just like with this whole thing, you know, there seems that there has been a arrest on the person that may have, I guess, abducted, and the missing person, I think her name was Nyla Harris.
Yes, Nyla Harris.
And now they think that they may have a person in custody now, a 40-year-old gentleman who was last seen, I guess, in the vicinity of the Rouge River, near the, I think they said near Berg and 7 Mile Road area, yes, where they may have found some articles of clothing that Miss Harris, and she was only 13 years old, that she last wore. And they think that they may have, you know, may be able to tie him with her. And now, from the way it sounds, that the prosecutors are saying that there's a good chance that she may be deceased. So they were saying that when they found the clothing items, you know, at the Rouge River, that the items look like there'd been something to the items that made them think that some kind of violence had been committed to Miss Harris. So she had been missing since, you know, as you both know, since January of this year. Right. And but from what the prosecutor was saying, I guess there's been other young women. I think there was 2 other women, right, that may have also been, I guess, may have had some kind of abuse committed upon them. by the same gentleman, as well. So, Vicky, as you're saying, sometimes we have to, kind of go into a little bit of more personal background about people. And sometimes they may not have been convicted of something where they have like they got an arrest record or something like that, or a conviction record. But sometimes it's just a matter of just talking to people and just asking people about people. That's what this whole thing now that's going on with P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, with that situation.
Yeah.
And, a lot is really going to come out now. And there's a lot when it comes to people that people don't really understand why people haven't, didn't come forth earlier.
Yeah. That one is with Diddy, and we could also talk about with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, those figures.
And then Harvey Weinstein and some other people, right?
Even Weinstein, and we could even go back to other entities are there, and a lot of that is to do with the abuse of power.
Mm-hmm.
People access power, money, and these folks use that power, access to money in every entity. Understanding with P. Diddy was in every aspect of everything. You talking about from liquor to clothing to branding ideas to funding to every entity he touched there. And so it's about, sometimes unfortunately it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so he abused his power in the industry, in the music industry. He abused his power. That even goes to Weinstein Company that owned Hollywood. You're talking about producers. Mm-hmm. You're talking about those who do the filming, who got the access to rights. You're talking about those guys that can make a great actress a world-renowned name if she does do these favors or get more industry, where you see folks who used to be in a lot of movies, all of a sudden they're not in movies anymore. And so you're dealing with those with power. Same thing with Epstein. And to me, Epstein was just a ruse, because the real person was Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell. You ever look at her background, it's a powerful background where her family lineage comes from. But even then, he had access to Wall Street brokers, industry types, people who are in charge of, who get defense contracts. All that stuff ties in. And so those people that can't come forward, they would say, why didn't you come forward? Why didn't you come forward? Even with Cassie had to get away, find a safe space, feel comfortable enough, then have the right team to come forward. There's a therapy. And so people got to understand that you just can't come forward out right away. And that because when she initially came forward, everybody said it was a money grab. Nobody believed her. Oh, nobody gonna believe, she's looking for money. Well, why she put herself in this situation? She knew what she was doing. She wanted it. And you hear that type until they see the tape, and all of a sudden, everybody's there. But we have to do a better job of protecting Black women and Black men. And that is like gut check on those who are working in the industry to say, you know what? How bad you could get another job.
Right. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Those people who are in the inner circle, though, they've been telling us for years that these things are going on.
Years. Yeah.
That's right. And so when it really comes all the way down to it, don't forget, Wendy Williams has been telling you for years.
Yeah.
Cat Williams,
yeah.
He's been telling you for years. And others have been telling you. What's the other lady's name? Monique.
Monique has been
telling you for years that these things are going on. Now here they come. They're showing up.
Right.
So one thing I would say, that the young women, they fall prey to men in power. Because I want to be a singer and I want to be popular and I want to do, and I'll wear the costume and I'll go to the party and I will stay all night and I will, do what it takes with 3 or 4 guys, and I'll do it all night and this and that to get a record label. At the end of it, I might become a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
So Those are the ways that people in power have been manipulating young men and women for years and years. We think this is brand new. This is not new. Marilyn Monroe had to do it. And guess who she did it with? I'm not going to mention any names. And they were brothers. And the thing of it is that in order for her to get where she wanted to go, she was manipulated and offered a deal that she couldn't refuse. So that was a part of the, her rising. She was a beautiful woman, but look how much more she could accomplish if she had presidents and vice presidents and assistant generals with her. Or,
Right.
On her side.
Right.
So this is not new, gentlemen. And guess what? Hold on to your hat, because it's going to be a lot of things going to come out after this. And I think we're going to be shocked. We're going to be surprised. But don't be too surprised. That's all I say.
Well, see, the thing that's interesting, Vicki, Norman, is that when we talk about these parties that P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs that he had. There's also someone else that used to give some wild parties as well, at his mansion.
Oh, yeah, Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner. And you never heard, and this was the president of the Playboy industry,
Yeah.
he was a publishing magnate,
Right.
and had millions of dollars, but everybody wanted to go to the mansion. And there were always pictures of people that were there at the mansion, and, but you never really heard the kind of parties at the mansion. You'd see people at the grotto, in terms, say at his grotto in the mansion.
Right.
But you never heard of the type of goings on at the Playboy Mansion like you heard at P. Diddy's estate. And those, what do they call them? Freak offs or something like that they
Jump
call
offs.
them.
But people heard, and I'm going to tell you that people heard about the Playboy Mansion. The difference is that it was, now I hate to say this,
It's okay.
during those times it was more accepted to physically sexually assault women back then. I'm going to be honest. It was. And even go further, we remember the whorehouse was in the same vicinity as the mayor office if you go back in the days of the early West.
It's still in Las Vegas. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
still, we talk about Las Vegas. Vegas is Sin City.
Right.
What happens in Vegas, stay in Vegas.
That's right.
And so that type of culture or attitude back then, unfortunately, was accepted back then. And then the stuff that, I think about the stuff that we did in high school and stuff like that was, now you can't do that. You shouldn't be doing that. And even further back then. But I think now knowledge is better. Now you can't accept it. It's not acceptable now. You can't do it anymore now. And I think that's the thing where people are missing, is that back then you had a dominant, patriotic, white supremacist male culture that was doing it, that ran the world and ran in such a way that they did it in those cultures. Women were to be seen and not heard, just as children. You're talking about women that just got their voting rights in 1920. You're talking about 1970, 69, 65 with Hugh Hefner, Hustler and all that stuff like that. You're talking about those type of eras in those days where you could openly smack a woman in her face and nobody say nothing. And so that culture was, during those times, it was right with that culture during those times. It's not right with this culture now.
Right.
And I think that that's what people got to understand, that you can't do that. No, you smack a woman in her face now, man, she'll pull out on you now.
Well,
Right.
back then,
Yeah.
to me, it was never right.
Was never right. Yeah,
It's never right.
Right.
But the thing is just that now it just seems like there are people saying that this is a race factor that's involved in this when it comes down to P. Diddy. That people are saying that they're trying to take this black man down because of all the millions that he's got. Just like the same thing that people were accusing folks to do when it came down to Bill Cosby.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm going to say this.
You know, because Bill Cosby was on the cusp of acquiring NBC.
Right.
And now here you have P. Diddy, that, you know, had multi-millions of dollars. And it was, and people didn't really know, but then there were a lot of things that happened that people now are being real quiet now, especially in the entertainment business, because they may have been at some of these parties.
Oh, yeah.
And then are the people that knew about what was going on, are they also culpable in terms of, say, because they knew what was going on and didn't come out and tell it?
And so my thing is, I tell folks that they're trying to take another strong black man down, trying to take Bill Cosby down. Before Bill Cosby got prosecuted, it's the same Bill Cosby that's telling black folks, pull your pants up. Don't you sneak those names. Why you got those African names? Take those dreads out. You don't look respectable. You don't look like this.
Telling comedians not to cuss
and all that
Right.
stuff like that. So I find it and so you went after us. You did it in such a way that we were classless of us. You talked to us down. You did it downward. Talk to us about how to talk to black men, how to talk to young black men. You didn't guide us to say, hey, no, that's stupid. Y'all look dumb. You look this and this, and then Regas. Same thing with, I could talk to Puffy. Puffy had so many people who wanted to sing. Puffy had so many people that want to get in the industry to show their true gifts of God giving them gifts. And you took that. They never got a deal. They were led around the straight and they were held against back their will. I don't care how powerful you are as a black man. You cannot be wrong is wrong. And then you take those same type of white supremacist attitudes and be an overseer to hold other folks who are coming up to hold them down. Nah, you're talking about taking the black man down. That's not our culture. We gotta stop saying that, oh, they taking him down. But so him being a rich and multi-million billionaire and having some trinkets about some hit songs, he's still doing wrong, raping and pillaging the community. He's still giving access to, he was the main one that led to access to Elon Musk to take over Twitter. Don't talk about that. And all the other stuff he did. And so my issue is this again, wrong is wrong. No matter who you are, you can't be in power.
And I agree with that, Norman. We're about to take a break and we'll come back and visit that again. Because like you said, wrong is wrong regardless of what color you are to do it. You're watching Truth to Power with my special guest today, Mr. Norman Clement and Ms. Vicki Dobbins. And stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
All media platforms are engaged.
Copy. Get ready to launch your show or product.
Periscope ready. We're 5x5 ready to launch. Copy that.
Trend worldwide across all major platforms.
Ignition. 3, 2, 1.
The world is waiting. Watkins Broadcasting. More than just TV.
And we are back, and you are watching Truth to Power with my special guest, Norman Clement, Vicki Dobbins. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin. And, before we went to break, we were talking about a lot of people that may have been victims of some of the things that's happened in the past, and accusations that were levied against people that may have done things in the past. But with this whole thing with P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, however way you want to, his name. But the thing that happens with people right now is that there are people that are saying that it could be because he's a black man, they're trying to take him down. There are people that are saying that he had been doing this for many, many years, and because of what happened in terms of, say, with Cassie and that videotape that came out, that now all this stuff is coming to light. There's a lot of people, his name is Damien, the gentleman, I think he's the prosecutor, or the, in New York.
Yeah.
That's, leveling the charges against P. Diddy.
Right.
And how they're rejecting the bond, offer that P. Diddy's attorneys are, trying to put up to get him released.
Right.
It saddens me when I hear that he's now on suicide watch.
Mm-hmm.
And, as, everybody should be concerned about, anybody's safety.
Right.
And they want the, him to not be in the general population with everyone else. And, a little fearful of his safety, because of that. And, but as it stands right now, justice still needs to be rendered.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that could be victims to what went on. One of the people that now I'm hearing a lot more about is Justin Bieber. And, that he had been taken advantage of, during some of the parties and some of the things that happened. So there's a lot of pictures that are up with a lot of different people that were at parties, but you don't really know what went on, and it's going to have to come from the people that were there to come forth and say what they witnessed. And I think that a lot of people are not really saying too much of anything. Just like, and I'll just bring this point up, and Vicki, I'll let you say what you're about to say. It's just like the same thing when it came down to the alleged party at the Manuglian Mansion, back in the day. And whether or not if that was an urban legend or whether or not if that really did take place, people aren't coming forth. So if people don't come forth, then maybe it didn't happen. So now with this whole thing with P. Diddy and, what may have been going on at some of these freak offs that they call it, at his place, residence, these white parties and some of these other parties that he gave, people have to come forth, and say they either witnessed these things or they didn't. Now there are other women besides Cassie that are coming forth and making accusations of some kind of, sexual abuse that may have been levied upon them. So, time is going to tell. But Vicki, you were about to say something.
So I find it very interesting that these parties went on for years and years. And then after 15 or 20 years, these ladies or gentlemen got lawyers, and it's all about the money. And these lawyers were able to go back into the history and back into the Playboy Club and back into, like right now, the brothels in Las Vegas. Nobody is talking about that. But one of these days, someone is going to come up and say, I worked in the brothel. I didn't want to. They made me. And they're going to get a lawyer. And this lawyer is going to make us understand that a lot of people who worked in the brothel didn't want to, but this was their means of work. okay,
Right.
of getting money. So when you bring that lawyer in, everything changes. Now, we can start making sense out of this.
Mhm.
We're going to get paid. I see that with P. Diddy, that a lot of these ladies who did not come forward are going to come forward because of the money. And let's don't forget about R. Kelly, who I really did love until I found out that he had 13-year-old girls living in his house.
Mm.
Now, how does that happen?
But Vicky, you gotta. The question I just want to ask
Mhm.
is that how do you have, as you're saying in the case with R. Kelly, how do you have a 13-year-old, as you say, living in his house, and the mother or the father weren't trying to find out where the daughter was? Just like in the case with Nyla, and I may be not saying her first name right, but Miss Harris, the 13-year-old,
It's,
you had her father that was out looking every nook and cranny in all these different places around Detroit and surrounding areas to find his daughter. And I'm sure other people were probably doing the same thing. So, she had been missing. So my question is, where were the parents at for these women that, as you're saying, that R. Kelly?
The parents knew where those girls were.
So should they be held accountable?
Well, if you ask me, I would say yes. But guess what? When you have a young girl and someone is giving you, $5,000, to let her stay because I'm taking pictures and I'm going to promote her and I'm going to make her a big star. And, we know that we got children who are stars. And if I am a parent with no money and you are going to make my daughter a star, you're going to make her, a young girl who can pave her own way one day.
Mhm.
Yeah, I might let her live in your house. I might let her. And we got a lot of these young girls. What's her name? The country and western young lady. And her dad was a singer.
To my Miley Cyrus.
Yeah. So, this happens all the time. You want her story? Give it 10 more minutes and you're going to find out.
Right. And
Because she's been out there ever since she was 13, 14 years old. He couldn't do nothing with her. Okay? So she's making money. These girls, 13, they're making a lot of money. They're not going home to their parents. They got nails and hair and beautiful outfits. They're not going home.
But I think with R. Kelly and with P. Diddy, some girls were making money, other girls weren't. And so with the situation with R. Kelly is that some parents were looking for their daughters, looking for their sons and trying to grab them and say, hey, come get them. And they say, oh, they'll be out. He was withholding and moving them around the country. And that's when they get the trafficking charge in and the RICO charge in. And so the thing with this is that they all had tapes on these kids. Now, it was my daughter and she was up in the house. I know she at that house. Man, please, I would put a tank up and blow that sucker up and get my kid out. I'm different than everybody else. And so the thing is that with Diddy and all these folks is that it's sex trafficking because a lot of these girls are taken without their will. They give you an illusion to say, hey, we're going to give you this, but you got to do this. You got to do this to the point where they're brainwashed and mind controlled that they'll mess around and do everything they want them to do. They're not even expecting to do this. They get moved around. And so that's what the charge was with Diddy. That was the charge with R. Kelly. Also, let's keep it a buck. This is what's happened with those. You got some Disney kids, you got some Nickelodeon kids that went through the same thing. And so what we really need is really delve deep into this practice of children, like pseudo-sacrifice of children, manipulation, children, predators. And they come in all shapes and sizes of every industry. So we have, as a parent, we got to do a better job of protecting our kids, protecting our loved ones, our interests, to have that conversation. Hey, baby, I know you want to sing, but I'm not sending you to the chocolate factory. Hey, I'm not sending you to the flavor house. Because when you talk about Justin Bieber, P. Diddy also did the same thing to Usher. There's a word allegedly. And so we talk about that going on. We're talking about the kids who, the two brothers, Corey Haim, the two Coreys, they talked about this a long time ago. Corey Haim and the other one was Corey something. They talked about they were the first youth kids that grew up in acting all the way through, and they talked about what was going on in Hollywood, about how these guys, producers, or these mega producers, or the directors were messing with kids. And so we talk about this industry. We talk about the movie industry. We talk about the music industry. And I hate to say this, we got to talk about if this is taking place in the political industry. Those who want to run for office, how they get favored, how they get chose to run for office, or how do they get all of a sudden, you don't know who this person is, but who's this? No background. We got to talk about that. And between two parties, like I said, you have one side that always portrays the morality, but you're uncomfortable with someone who's accused of the same thing, who's been to those parties, running for president. And so more people who are coming out is because with Diddy also had tapes and films. And so when they raided that house and they took that stuff out of his house, Cassie tape did not appear until his son made a rap diss about the FBI, talk about the FBI was wrong and they fraudulent. All of a sudden, Cassie's tape came out. The feds leaked that tape.
Well, see, the thing that happened with that tape was that there's a lot of accusation that when Cassie came out and said primarily that there was a crime that had been committed, and the crime had been
multiple crimes
that had been committed. And then when she wanted to accuse P. Diddy of the crime, then if he had settled with her and it hadn't gotten further, then it might have been off the table.
Darwin, I think.
But let me finish. Let me say this. But the thing is that, because from what I'm hearing, because P. Diddy did not settle that case, now then you had the opportunity for that film or for that video to be leaked by, as you said, maybe by the feds, to leak it then. If it had been settled out of court, all that might not have even came into existence.
I honestly can't say. I see what you're saying. I can't say that because I think for you to build a case against this dude like the Strong, you've been watching him for a long time. And you've been watching before the case. I think Cassie filed because I would bet you the feds talked to her first. And then she probably lawyered up and said, hey, they presented stuff to him, get $30 million. He said, no, okay, I'm going to put this in the light and take it to court. Before the court date, he didn't settle.
Right.
The companies that she surrounded with, she sued Ciroc, she sued Viacom, any entity that was around in the industry, she sued. The company settled with her and said, hey, you need to sign this to get it out. Once that happened, then the companies left, and then he had to step down. Then when his son came out, when they got raided, and his son came out and said something about the feds, they did a diss track 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks later, not even 2 weeks ago, probably about maybe 24 to 48 hours later, all of a sudden that tape gets leaked. Not to TMZ, not to doggone Shade Room. It gets leaked to CNN. Now, you got to have pretty good. First of all,
you got to have a lot of good.
To CNN, leaked to
Right.
CNN, and once it got to CNN, that let me know. Oh, the feds got it. That's a Fed move.
Because it's so interesting too, Norman. Because every time I see that tape of her being chased by P. Diddy down the hall and him grabbing her and throwing her on the ground and dragging and kicking her and dragging her back down the hall where he's just clothed in a look like a towel, wrapped around his midsection. CNN is at the top of that video.
Right.
Whereas a lot of times you'll see like whatever ABC, NBC, TMZ or whoever, lays claim to that video that you have to get their permission to be able to re-air that video. But as you just said, it says CNN.
And CNN's international. So him not getting bail, it says, number one, you're a flight risk. Mm-hmm. Even if you get bail, I know you got access to run. You're going to run anyway.
But it's not just to him running, from what they're saying, from listening to that person in New York. Right. What he was saying, basically, you could still be a
intimidator to some
exactly.
And
you could be a threat to some people and your threatening ability could extend even past you.
Right.
Where you could go and get other people to go and threaten
people
somebody.
In your interest that get paid by you. Exactly. Say, no, we got to keep everybody hushed.
And gentlemen, I don't believe that he thought that he was going to jail. He actually went to New York and allowed them to
turn himself in.
And, he said, I'll give you $50 million to let me go back home. I'll take a tether and I'll just stay at home. And the judge said, no way, Jose. You're in jail. And this is the way jail goes. You're in a small cell with a suit on and you're going to get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Well, he beat that. Well, that might not be the right word to say. He beat this crime where he was at a nightclub. And he and this other rapper were backing out the door and they both pulled out guns and I think 3 people were shot.
Right.
And this one lady was shot in her face.
Right.
And she's saying that clear cut, P. Diddy was the one that pulled the trigger.
To this day, she still says
she's still saying that to this day.
And so the question asks, have they talked to Jennifer Lopez? And I hate this. This is speculation. Truth to power, speculate. This is the first time we speculate. Maybe the breakup with her and Ben was about that happening and stuff coming down, and he wanted to back out that picture. Because she perjured herself on court case saying that Shine did it, not Diddy. And if the feds find out that happened, they may have questioned her about, hey.
You say that Sean did it and not Diddy.
No, Shine. Shine is the
Shine. Okay.
Shine. He's now the prime minister of Belize.
Okay.
And he did the time. Jennifer said he shot the gun. But
that was Shine that was backing out of the club with P. Diddy that time.
Right.
Okay.
And then he did the time, not Diddy. And so perjury doesn't have a sense of you perjure yourself, you can still get caught up with that. And so maybe that all that ties together because you get so many tapes on everybody that maybe that's still out there to say, hey, because the charges are, when you're talking about a RICO charge, you're talking about more than one person.
Right.
You're talking about a whole multiple group of enterprise, organization.
Because that's what they had to go after Al Capone.
Right.
But go ahead.
They go after Al Capone, but when you're talking about a RICO charge with everybody, you're talking about they probably got people's names, they probably got people's lists. You see, you don't see a coincidence. All these folks are stepping down from 300 industry guys are stepping down from their positions, resigning their music positions. And so and the music industry is not doing that well. And it's hard to imagine if the industry is not doing that well and you're going to resign from your job and your positions.
But you know, Norman, Vicky, that's the thing that's so interesting with this, because it's like here when everything started kind of coming down, when the accusations started being, even before the video with Cassie, being kicked and drugged down the hall, there was still a lot of speculation about some things that were going on. And just like, you both know, when the feds get involved in something, they've done a lot of research, homework.
That's right.
They've put a lot of man hours and women hours into seeing to make sure that they have a good enough case
right
to bring against.
And also informants,
exactly,
undercover, all that. And so like I said, it's like people, but I said, this probably been going on for a long time. And for him he was trying to turn himself in, and for them to jump that and arrest him right then and there,
Right.
that lets me further know they knew something else, because unfortunately, Russell Simmons is in Bali. He's been in Bali for a long time. And so there's speculation they're after him for some stuff. And so he may have been, I'm going to run and dip out. And so it's not, when you have a sex trafficking in a RICO, man, you got evidence, and all everything ties together. It's not just him.
Yeah, and that's and the other thing that some people are saying too, and I hear them, is that they're taking so much attention away from the presidential race with all this about P. Diddy and and it seems like, let's get back to something else that's important to the nation when it comes down to electing the next president of these United States. Mm-hmm. And just like when all that was going on with Bill Cosby, mm-hmm. Was taking attention away from other things that could be. And then just like even with Hurricane Helena, mm-hmm. Or Helene, that now let's be concerned about, as you said, the global warming, because that's part of the presidential race, right, in terms of say, what is the president or the future president, what are they going to do about global warming? And, there's a lot of things that people need to be concerned about, mm-hmm. Project 2025 and, other right. things. But it's like here, we're spending so much time about P. Diddy, mm-hmm. that is taken away from that. So that's one of the things that we have to get back on focus. We got an important election coming up November the 5th. Mm-hmm. We need to make certain that all hands are on deck. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that are concerned because now you've got the Kennedy and his running mate that are going to be here in the Detroit area. I think they're going to be in Dearborn. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't understand he's still going to be on the ballot, mm-hmm. in November. Mm-hmm. So as I was talking to some people about that, you included, Norman, is that now, and Vicky, I was talking to you about that as well, that if he's on the ballot and people did not know that he's dropped out of the race to support former President Trump, if you vote for Kennedy, that's a vote that's taken away from voting for, if you want a Republican, mm-hmm. taken away from
Harris.
Well, from Trump.
From Trump, yeah.
And the thing is that it could benefit Harris because mm-hmm. you're taking a vote that you could have voted for Trump. And now I'm not saying you're throwing that vote away, but you're voting for somebody who's not even wanting to be president.
But at the same time, he fought to get on the ballot for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then you went to Trump. No, you went to Harris first to ask to be a cabinet position,
right,
of health secretary.
Right.
Basically try to bribe a woman.
Well, first you went to and then you even talked to Biden,
right,
and put your name out there in the hat to possibly be a running mate,
right,
along with Biden, mm-hmm. But when Biden chose Harris, then that changed the whole, right. Scenario in that part. So then you threw your support to, because he was saying, hey, when Biden was ready to step down and people were trying to decide who they wanted to elevate to put in that presidential.
He threw his name in there.
He threw his name in there
because he wanted to
saying, "What about me?" Right?
Yeah, he wanted to reestablish as a Democrat.
Exactly.
And so now it seems where now you support Trump now because he said he promised you a cabinet position.
So, gentlemen, I must say that Kennedys are very disappointed in him.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kennedys are Democrats. And to try to manipulate yourself into this political arena by virtue of, trying to be on a cabinet
Mhm.
And if you don't do it my way, then I'll do it this way. That is totally against what the Kennedy family is
Mhm.
all about.
Yeah.
And I know that John and a couple of them are turning over in their grave. Robert, yeah, they are turning over in their grave. This is totally a disgrace to the Kennedy family. And so for him to do this flip-flopping,
Mhm.
and guess what? He's still not going to win.
Right. And the thing with also too is that he's playing on the QAnon aspect of Trump and Kennedy. Because the QAnoners on the back channel of them had Trump and Kennedy 2024. And so Kennedy joining Trump, Kennedy knows what he's doing. I'm going to join Trump, get that cabinet because I get all the QAnon and conspiracy folks understand that, hey, he's going to get rid of J.D. Vance and put me as his vice president and be Trump Kennedy, and we fulfill the whole QAnon whole world thing of cabal, in this whole cabal stuff going on. And so he's playing on that. And so you're coming to Dearborn, knowing that you're on the ballot. He was only on the ballot in 15 states.
Mhm.
So he could never get to 270. Same thing for Jill Stein. She could never get to 270. And we got to talk about the Green Party too, because for them to let her keep doing that is a shame. It's a shame. It's really hurting the Green Party's effort. But going back to that, they're playing into that whole QAnon the underground deal of Trump and Kennedy. So he's playing into that. And so the thing about with the Kennedy, that you're upset that you didn't get your way, and I'm going to go somebody. It was what is ultimately the utmost selfish thing to do. And same thing. The same thing goes to Joe Manchin also. That you are not supporting her because she supports on giving great government across the line, but you mad because she said she'll get rid of the filibuster, which it shouldn't be there in the first place. But at the same time, you hold to old standards that doesn't benefit the people forever. Doesn't even benefit the people of your state. And so those two are probably the most two selfish people in the political arena right now.
Right now, yeah.
Well, I think that, a lot of people don't really quite understand all of the political ramifications about this ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And just like here in Detroit, we've got an interesting race coming up when it comes down to all these individuals that are running for 3 spots for a school board.
Yes.
I believe there's 22 people that are running
Mm-hmm.
for a school board here in the city of Detroit. And, there's people that, have had former, history when it comes to being involved with school children, either as teachers or as administrators, in the school system. But then there's also people that are running that could be people that may be taking votes away from other folks.
Right.
But we got to take a quick break. So when we come back from break, then, Vicki, Norman, maybe we can touch upon a little bit about the school board, race that's coming up. And that's an important race that people need to make certain they flip the ballots over, because some of those races may be on the reverse side of the ballot. You're watching Truth to Power with my special guest, Norman Clement, Vicki Dobbins, and we'll be right back.
WGPR Detroit, HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit. Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
And you are watching Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, with my special guests today, Ms. Vicki Dobbins and Norman Clement. But before we went to break, we were talking about the candidates that may be running in this important election in November for a school board in DPSCD. And there's 22 candidates that are running. And the thing about this is that there are candidates sometimes that run that may be running because they have a vested interest in running. There may be other candidates that may be candidates that might be spoilers. That may be candidates that I can't say that there's anybody that doesn't have the intent of trying to win that race that they're running in. But we've known people to be put in the race, given money to be put in a race to run just to take votes away from other candidates. It was really interesting, Norman, Vicki. As you know, Norman, we've talked about this before. All of those candidates that were running for that congressional race in the 13th. And you had, what was it, like almost 11 candidates that were running for one spot.
Right.
And they were, and I think that the thing is that Sharif Thanadar came out the victor, but everybody thought that it was really a close race for the people up in the upper, tier when it came down to those that got the majority of the support in that election.
Right.
But I think the thing is just that with the school board, Vicki, you were on the school board in River Rouge. And, there's a lot of requirements that you would hope, and I say the word you would hope, that people would put on candidates if they're vying to run for school board, for judge, even for mayor, as well as for president. But when it comes to school board, there's a lot of people that have had a background in the school industry, in the education industry, that may have a vested interest in being a part of whatever changes that they'd like to see administered in the school system. But I think that when we talked about there are candidates that are running as write-ins in other races, and Norman, we talked about this during the break. Sometimes candidates can run for positions as write-ins that may take votes away from the general public if those ballots get spoiled.
Right.
And that's how people can sometimes spoil ballots, because you're supposed to be straight party ticket.
Right.
And then you want to go off and vote. If you're supposed to go straight party ticket, you're supposed to vote all Republican or all Democratic.
Right.
But when you want to go and mingle the parties and vote for maybe most of the candidates voting Democratic, but then you want to switch over and you want to vote a Republican as well, you could spoil that ballot.
Right. And you can definitely spoil a ballot that way. That's why years ago, working with Votes Not Politicians, Promote the Vote, NAACP put that on the ballot to change the voting language on ballots where you could have an option to vote straight party. But they put that on the ballot and it's here to stay. And I also tell folks who are running for office that if you didn't make the ballot, you're trying to get in as a write-in candidate, don't do that. Tell them the right now, because it's important about having your board. When you have a spoiled ballot, basically you think you voted, but your vote doesn't count because it's spoiled. Those who want to run for office should have ran for office during the primary. That's when your time to run.
Well, some of them ran, but they lost.
So then you respect the decision of the people and you lost. You support the candidate that won. Period. And I understand that, Mayor Duggan did it back in the day. That was Duggan that did it during the day. These are different times. That's for a mayor election. And those during the mayor election, you didn't have a chance to spoil other people on the straight party ticket. And so you cannot say you're for the democratic process and you lost, and now you want to run a straight party ticket. You want somebody to write you in. You lost, and that's it.
So, this last election, I found that you cannot just be a write-in anymore.
Oh.
No, you have to go down to the downtown city clerk. You have to file a paper that says you want to be a write-in. Now, if you don't file that paper, you can have somebody write you in, but it won't count.
Okay.
Unless that paper is signed by the Detroit city clerk, that write-in is not.
Oh, okay.
It's not valid.
Good.
That's over. You can't just write in your name.
Mm-hmm.
So we ran for precinct delegates this year, and we had to go downtown and fill out the papers, and then when we won with 5 votes or with 10 votes, we won because we had our papers in. Okay. So if we did not do the paperwork, if 5 people write your name in, it didn't count.
And there's a deadline to the paperwork, am I right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
There's always a deadline. So if you miss the deadline, you cannot run. Okay. So I don't know. Do you want to talk about school boards?
Sure.
Okay. So in River Rouge, as you know, I have ran twice and was successful twice with the River Rouge School Board, and which I really enjoyed that. And what you have to understand about school boards, you don't go in and tell the superintendent and the teachers what to do.
Absolutely.
That's not your job. Our job is policy and procedure. We want to make sure that everything is done correctly. We have a school board classes that we go to, excuse me, and conventions that we go to. Now, a lot of people who are parents, and I don't like the way the teacher talked to my daughter, so I'm going to run for school board and I'm going to get everything straight. No, that's not going to happen. You don't get anything straight just because you're on the school board. They have ways to run the school, okay? You as a school board member, you can vote. You can be a part of a vote that says that you agree or disagree with what the superintendent and the administration put together, but you don't make the major decisions. They do. So, we have to understand what school board is. It's very important. Right now, we needed to work on our curriculum, reading, writing, and arithmetic. We need to get cursive back into the schools. Who took cursive out? So those are the kinds of things that we need to be working on. And just because you don't like the fact that one of the teachers said something to Johnny and you're going to run for school board and get everybody straight, that's not going to happen. So, and I would suggest that a person who wants to run have some kind of political background, you might want to go to a couple of meetings. You might want to make sure that you understand what that job detail, what it entails. You know, it's not just as easy as sitting on the board and just sitting there and making somebody uncomfortable. That's not what we do. So,
well, see, when you talk about school board, you're also talking about, like you said, Vicki, policies and procedures, but you're also looking at code of conduct. You're looking in terms of, say, at, you know, expulsions, suspensions,
procedures.
You know, and those are things that, you know, if a person does, and then you're also looking at for special needs individuals, you know, in the schools, and looking in terms of, say, that
Procedures.
it's same thing. So it's like how you categorize it, you know, from policy or procedure.
Well, you know, all of that fits in there
Right.
for the school board. You know, so you have to know that you know, I didn't know that if a kid is kicked out of school for 180 days, that other schools did not want to take him.
Mhm.
He would have to go to an alternative school. I was against kicking kids out of school.
Mhm.
Because what does a kid do for 180 days? Nobody else wants them. Where are they going?
But what type of policies, Vicki, or issues that a child did that would have that child kicked out of school for
Smoking in school, smoking weed in school, you know, belligerent to your teacher, you know, oh my God, there are so many things that these students can come up with that can cause them. Oh, what about bringing guns to school? What about you know, fighting? Ooh, I'll hit you one real good. Since you asked me, what about sexual behavior in school? What about and I'm against this. We need to teach our young men and women how to dress to come to school.
Right.
You do not wear your pants below your belt line in school. Young ladies, shorts are shorts. Panty shorts do not belong in school.
Mhm.
Policy and procedure. Who's making the rule that you cannot wear these kinds of things to school? Well, a halter top, and you are a double D student, but you wearing a halter top that's covering the bottom part of your chest.
Right.
You know, come on.
So we used to, I mean, Vicki's absolutely right. We used to have something called a dress code.
A dress code.
And like, I understand the uniform thing, which we don't, it's not a uniform. It's just color combinations and all that. And kids do what they want to wear all the time. But we had a uniform. We had a dress code.
That's right.
Dress code is where, okay, you know what to wear.
That's right.
And what you can wear, you can, you can't, you can't. And people stuck to those dress codes. And that was it. And so I think, I've never been a fan of uniforms unless you got the crest of the school, a full uniform, like a jacket, pants, belt, shoes, tie, all from the same company, all from the same, that's a uniform.
They call that prep school.
Prep school. And so I'm for it. If you don't do that, I'm for that.
I'm for that.
Different shirts and all that stuff, because people are going to wear it differently, and it still cause confusion. And, I'd rather do that, but I'd rather have a dress code, because guess what? Those kids are going to go out in society. And when they go to college people dress how they want to dress until they go to certain classes they got to dress for. Once your instructor says, hey, if you come into the business class, I need this, and it's a part of your syllabus, they'll dress for that class, this. This is part of your syllabus. And that's it. And I think that the same thing applies to our students at DPS, or River Rouge, or students everywhere. Also understand, if you're running for school board, It's no longer a political lift for opportunity to step higher. Now think of some of these people. I could run school board, then I run for this. No. It's an unpaid position.
That's right.
Unpaid.
That's right.
Kickbacks are illegal.
That's right.
You'll go to jail.
That's right.
So understand what you're doing this process for. I seen you've experienced it. I know people that have been on school board and say it's a headache. So I'm surprised 22 people line up for a headache, but some people really want to do the job in the business. Some people have other jobs and could do the school board at the same time because they understand it's an unpaid position. And so we have to really look at that like, okay, what are you running for? Are you running just to be running? Or are you really doing the impactful things that need to be happening in the schools? It's great to have ideas. And those people who are all running, who just want to run, come to a school board meeting and present your ideas. Become a vendor. Be a part of the school system. Be a part. Come. Hey, you got ideas about medical marijuana and teaching kids pharmacy classes in that school? Instead of running for school board, how about you create a curriculum and a program that bring it to the vendor portion of DPS and say, hey, we have a pharmacist. We want to teach pharmacy in these schools about medical marijuana, but also how you can apply it to topical creams and lotions and get into expand the rights atmosphere of pharmaceutical language to the kids. If you present that idea to the school, oh, you got a lab, we could get back into science, bring you in. That's how you make impact, not just to run to just be running.
And that's the problem, Norman. A lot of people are just running just to be running, and they don't understand the what we really need in the schools. Okay, we need. I watch the Olympics. I don't see not one kid from River Rouge, Ecorse, Southwest Detroit in the Olympics. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I want to know why we don't have a young person who runs, who swims, who's playing tennis, why don't we have that? So those are the things that I want to see when I go to my school. I want to see more, focus on being, we'll let you run, an hour during class, but nothing outside of class.
No after school programming.
No after school program. We got to get serious with our kids, and I want to see other programs come in. Teach these kids how to sew. What happened to home economics? Teach them how to sew. Teach them how to do lawn service. Teach these kids something, because reading and writing is not going to be just all they need to know.
Yeah, and then with the emergence of AI, emergence of AI, it's great to have kids to work with their hands. Lawn care could be agricultural services, working with plants, fruits, agriculture. And so agriculture is a huge billion-dollar industry in farming that we have access to. We have black farmers all over the field, but our kids from Detroit love to go out those communities, teach them how they farm at home. They get their own gardens, bring them back into the classroom so they can go experience agriculture in the community, and also that's a new green job. And so we on the same vibe and same language.
When I was coming up, they talk about a farmer. Oh boy, who wants to be a farmer? That's horrible. I don't know how to plant a seed. I have relatives that live up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. They came to the family reunion. And so my friend said, "You're a farmer, you're going to bring us corn next year." He said, "How many acres do you have?" He said, 300 acres of land. So my friend said, "Oh, you rich, right?" And so he said, "Yeah." We got to teach our kids that these are ways that we build income.
Right.
This is how, just buy a seed, planting greens, planting corn, planting whatever it is that you like. You can become a millionaire if you love the earth. Right. Okay? It's nothing wrong with that. But we got to teach that. We'll teach it, give them chapter 1, 2, and 3 in the book, and then that's it. Give you a test, that's it. But no, we got to take these kids out. I want to learn how to ride a horse.
We have horses at River Rouge Park. Used to be there's a group of brothers out there. They have the horses out there at River Rouge Park where folks can come out and learn how to ride horses there.
I don't see that program at River Rouge High School. Okay, I don't see that program at E-Course or at Lincoln Park. I work a lot in Lincoln Park. And so where's the program? So this is what I'm telling you about policy and procedure. There's a lot that we can give these kids, but it's got to be in the curriculum. We gotta, stop lunch, I guess, I don't know, and give them something else.
But also too with the school board, and I gotta say this also, and I gotta shout out Gretchen Whitmore and the Democrat-led Senate and the work that they've done as far as the last budget. There are multi-millions of dollars in educational dollars in that budget that all these schools have access to if you present the program to the school board and say, hey, those dollars are right there in that budget. We have a program. We want to present that to you. And say, oh, okay, this is a great program. And it's not coming out of the school pocket. It's coming out of the state funding budget pocket.
Right.
Oh, shoot, we can pay you to do that, sir.
Yeah.
And we can do those services. And so the kids get access to more services beneficial to them. And so it's out there. So I'm telling the people who are running for school board, if you think you're going to go in and tell VD what to do, you're running for the wrong doggone reasons.
That's right.
There's so many other things that you have to do to expand to get access to our children. Instead of about hollering about paper, hollering about this that happened last week. Your job is to function as a beneficiary and a common goods servant for our children on that school board. Not to tell one person what to do.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, I think that out of the 22 candidates, that they're looking to bring on 3 school board members. And, I pray that, as, we've all said, that the students and their parents are the ones that really are going through the impact of bringing those new school board members on board.
I wonder if there's a debate that's going to happen on that.
Well, that's the thing, that there's a couple of people that are scheduling some forums, for the school board candidates. I know of some, but I'm not at liberty to say, only because they haven't really finalized all of the details, about it. And one of those happens to revolve around this station, Okay. So, I think until the final details are pretty much like presented, would I want to give more information, pertaining to a time, a date, and things like that. But I think the thing is just that hopefully some people that are talking about having a school board forum or debate can get those to materialize, because the people that are interested in who's running needs to hear more from those candidates.
Absolutely.
To be able to go and address that.
And another thing I'd like to just interject right here is people who want to be on school board, they need to have a personality that fits school board. You don't go in with the argument. You don't get anything done if you go to fight. That's not what we're all about. Some people, and you'd be surprised in school boards that are divided. And so you got 4 over here, 3 over there, and nothing is getting done because the school board is divided. So we don't want to encourage people who don't know how to talk to others, how to speak to others, how to communicate with others, how to communicate with the public. If that's not your forte, then please don't be a part of the school board.
Yeah, and you're right, Vicky. You have to find people that are more so problem solvers.
Right.
Problem solvers.
And that's the important part when it comes down to not just in school board, but in other,
And
you
others,
know,
we
elected
have to learn
fields.
to work together.
Exactly.
That's what this is all about.
Right.
But I do want to say to you in closing that we have a great school board at River Rouge, and we're doing very, very well under the leadership of Dr. Derek Coleman. Thank you.
You know, you always have to throw my frat brother in there.
Yeah.
That's right.
But we got to ready to take our last break, and you're watching Shoot the Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, with my special guests, Vicki Dobbins and Norman Clement, and we'll be right back.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabrina, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
All media platforms are engaged.
Copy.
Get ready to launch your show or product.
Periscope ready. We're 5x5 ready to launch. Copy that.
Trend worldwide across all major platforms.
Ignition. 3, 2, 1.
The world is waiting. Watkins Broadcasting. More than just TV.
And you are watching Truth to Power, so welcome back. And this is our last half an hour, but I'm joined by Mr. Norman Clement, Ms. Vicki Dobbins. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin. And as we all know, we've been promoting this for the last couple of months since the last election. We want to make certain that people get out to vote. Exercise your voice, exercise your power. And in some cases, you may be voting for people that need your support to make some things happen in your district or in your community, in your city. And some people may not like the candidates that are running, But I'm a Trekkie in some respects. And I think back to something that was said in one of the Star Trek movies. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you make decisions not necessarily based on what you feel, but based on what you think could impact or benefit other people. Mm-hmm. And some people run in elections because of the fact that they know they can be a public servant for many, many people. And I've done school board candidates and I've done debates with candidates. And one of the questions that I ask everybody that's running, are you an elected official or are you a public servant? Mm. And people don't realize there's a difference. Vicki, you witnessed some of the school board and some of the other forums that I've done, in the past. And the thing is that that's a real critical question that we ask people. Vicki, I can go to you right now and ask you, when you were running for school board, or even recently when you were running for city council, were you running to be an elected official or were you running to be a public servant?
So I consider myself right now an activist and an advocate for my city. I do work all the time for my community. It's not just about being on the school board or being a commissioner. Well, I'm still a commissioner. I work on the planning commission, and that's another one that's voluntary. And I've been doing that for several years. You don't get paid for that, but I want to see things happen in my community, okay? Now, can I make all the decisions? Can I make everything happen? No, but I'm there. I like being one of the decision makers. I like to be people call me and say, Vicki, what's going on? Why is Jefferson changing in a different way? And, I give them the best answer that I can. Right now, people are calling me for signs, hair signs. Guess what? I'm talking to my heavy hitters, Cecilia Walker. I can't name all the names, but I can tell you Cecilia Walker. These ladies are going to get signs from me today. While I couldn't get it from the 13th district, I can get it from these ladies. So, as a public figure, I'm a public figure. People call me and ask me, Vicki, can you get me a sign? Yes, I can get you a sign, and I will get them. I don't know where I'm going to get the signs, but they're going to get a sign from me, okay? So, I'm a public servant, and I love it. So, because I was on the school board, because I ran for commissioner, does have nothing to do with the work that I continue to do on or off any board that I'm on in River Rouge. So it doesn't matter to me. I just want to do the work.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're talking about as far as a public servant. Somebody that's coming out every day, talking to people, meeting them where they are. They can meet them downtown or they can meet them in the park. And so getting that mindset of public service out there with especially our state reps and our state senators. That is something that, we should start looking for in our candidates who are a public service person. Not the rhetoric, not the talk, not the bombastics and stuff like that, not looking for clickbait or anything like that. Somebody that's someone meet you where you are and does the work, and not just does the work, but also you can see the beautification or the transition of your community. Tangibility is there. And so when folks understand when you're running for office, especially now in this age, people are asking, okay, you're a great guy, but what have you done for me lately? What have you done for my community lately? And so the talk is no longer there. And so the 22 folks who are running understand that, there are things that you have to lay out as a plan and transition DPSCD to the future and forward thinking to the future. I'm thinking about far as some of our students still have books where you go to other schools in the district, outside this district, everybody has a tablet, not a computer tablet, a tablet they can take home and stuff. And so kids can read on their tablet, do their work on their tablet. And, you know, that's the way of the future. And some of my sons use a tablet. Even though the DPSC schools, a lot of the work can be found on tablets. So they go do it on tablet. And so number one, that's a great way to integrate. They can have their knowledge and learn wherever they go, they're in town, out of town. But also it updates our fact checking, our knowledge based systems in our schools. Where how many times they said Pluto was a planet or a moon, and so you got a book from 1970, 82, still sitting there, or 90, it still says a planet. Now it says a moon. And so those type of literature can adjust. And it's cheaper that way. And so how much money does school boards spend on books that are outdated, and the kids don't actually see the books until the kids are supposed to see the books. They don't see that at all. And the kids that get the books, they're outdated for them to say, no, that's wrong. That's very cool. That's wrong. Stuff like that. So that's where, as a parent, I look at, okay, things they can fix in school. So I'm looking as a parent and say, hey, if I'm on school board, I'm looking at policy, books, how is that rendered, how we can get those programs into our children, and as far as our children get the most accurate, utmost information in a timely manner.
Well, so I agree with you, but Norman, the kids have to read books. Mm-hmm. Now you can go to your tablet. I work in schools that every kid has a tablet, and or access to a tablet, and a phone. We're gonna take the phone out of school. That's got to go. Okay? I'm sorry. Yeah, that's got to go.
I at first I disagree, but then I do agree. How I'm it's being, it's because it's such a distraction and it's such a big struggle.
Look, I'm in the classroom. I'm with these students. I'm with 25 to 30 students. You got 29 of them on the phone.
Well, something that's so interesting, just a quick little story, Vicki and Norman, that when I was in the school counseling, and we had a situation where one teacher took the phone away from one of the students, and when she took the phone away from the student at the end of the class went up to her and asked her to give the phone back. And the teacher said, no, I'm going to turn it over to the principal's office, and then you'll have to get it from the principal's office at the end of the day. The student got upset and picked the teacher up, walked across the room with the teacher in his arms, and put her feet down into the trash can. And, because he was upset because he couldn't get his phone right back the minute that the class ended. So that, the reason why people want to have their children with phones, in some cases, I can understand if the student needs to, like if something's going on with the student, but most times you usually, back in the day before we had phones, you could pass messages on to students through the secretary that would go and take some information, like if somebody was sick in the family or something like that, or a parent wasn't going to be able to come and pick the child up from school like they normally do until maybe like 15 or 20 minutes later. And, so we did things like that then, whereas now it is a distraction in a lot of cases because they're playing games on their phones, they're texting on their phones. So that's something that puts a challenge on the teachers to be able to educate the students in the classroom.
But the one thing that the kids deal with this age, where this age, and then even sometimes we didn't really have to deal with it, is that the kids got to deal with firearm and shooting drills every day. And so as a parent, you want your kids to text you if something is a matter like far as a shooting or something like that. Now, I'm for this. They have you ever gone to a comedy show and it says no phones. They have a sleeve pack that you could put in, and I think Jalen Rose Academy has done that. They put this stuff in the sleeve, lock it, and then you have a code on your phone They give them a code where, okay, you need your phone, you put your code in, they'll give you your phone, and you get it, and then you text and you give it right back.
Well, see, we did the same thing because I would administer the ACT and the SAT tests in the high schools. And that's one of the things that we did. We had every student, before we administered the test, to give their phones. We put them in the little folders with a number on it. We gave them the number that was in the manila folder, and that's how they would reclaim the phones back, because we sealed the manila folders and let the students know those phones are there, and once the test is over, then we would disseminate the phones back out.
Way better, where you could have it in the pocket, and you put it in the pocket, and it's a button that you close up, and once you close, you can't open it back up. And so once it's allowed to open back up, is a sleeve where they have a charmateur where you put the thing and it opens up. When you go to like we went to Dave Chappelle or Kevin Hart, and they said no phones, you got to put it in the sleeve so you can't use it. If you got to use it, you come out all the way up to the front during the time of the show, get in a little area, I need this for a phone, and they'll open it up for you. That's the technology I think that the schools do need to have, because number one, you keep your phone, you keep your thing in your sleeve, but you can't open it. You can't open it, you can't use it at all, but it's on you personal. If you need to use it for emergencies, you come out, you come to the front desk, front office, use it for emergency. Okay, I gotta text my mom back, bam, okay, cool, in the sleep. If the parents know that policy is happening in place, they have no problem with people taking their phones in there. And that's the new technology that we could use in our school systems, and so that if people have access and stuff like that.
Well, I think candidates that are running for school board, talk to Norman Clemens. But we've got a few more minutes left, in the show. But let me just, ask each of you in terms of is there anything, Vicki, that you want to talk about in these last few minutes of the show?
Well, I always want to talk about The Bachelor and The Bachelorette really quick. We want to make sure that if anyone is interested in purchasing the book that I wrote, you can always get it. It's on Amazon, or you can call me, Vicki Dobbins, at 313-492-5179, and I'll mail it to you, send it to you, whatever. I'll get this book to you. And what it is talking about dating adults 50 years old and over and dating. And we are having so much fun. And so for those people who are sitting at home watching television and, being bored with the dancing shows, read this book, come out, have fun, go out and dance yourself. You're going to love it. Also, the Detroit Idlewilders are having their annual Western Roundup on November the 2nd at the NSYNC Lounge. It's located on Isla Drive. And if you need your ticket, again, call me, Vicki Dobbins, at 313-492-5179, and we will get you your tickets to the Idlewild Western Roundup. Also, next year, 25, we're going to go to Idlewild. So we're going to get a bus that's going to pick you up. Well, you're going to meet somewhere. We're going to take you to Idlewild. We're going to do a tour and show you all of Idlewild. You can buy property and all that stuff up at Idlewild. So stay tuned. I got a lot of information on that.
Norman.
So, number one, your ballot should be coming in the mail, or you already got your ballot. So if you got your ballot, make sure that you fill everything out front and back. If you're doing a party and you select your party, Democrat or Republican, make sure you fill out a straight party ticket, flip it over, choose your nonpartisan issues or the Supreme Court, a school board, and some millages that are passing. Please take your time and fill it out. Research before you fill it out, and then once you fill it out, you sign the back of it. Tell people you can put it in the mail. use the drop box. The drop boxes are there around the city of Detroit. They're all in different locations. If you don't know exactly where, then you always go down to the Secretary of you go to the city clerk's office. They have a drop box right there. People are picking it up as we go, or they'll drop it off, and folks will take your stuff there. Also, October 8th, we are working with Detroit Change Initiative is working with the National Hip Hop Caucus and also partnering with Motown, where we're having a Respect My Vote Black Men Caucus event from 5 till 8:30 at the Garden Theater. We're really talking to our brothers who are into the political atmosphere about the solutions that we could do with this election, but beyond this election. We're going to reinforce that the importance of elections are every year, not just certain years, not just local, not the state, but we're really focusing on, hey, election and planning is every year. And also identifying our candidates early, doing the research, doing the background checks to support the best candidate for us and our people in the city of Detroit that's coming up next year. So we're already planning. We're going to do our job for 2024, get most people out as possibly to vote. But also, too, we're going to start putting the mindset of 2025 about the city of Detroit and putting it out there and say, hey, we got an election coming up, guys. Let's get prepared for that also. Let's keep this momentum going.
Well, Norman, also, too, I want you to make the announcement about the early voting, that we know that there's some changes because some people don't understand about the early voting, and that where people were accustomed to like the 9 days prior to. But can you kind of, let our audience know about the early voting and how that's been extended by our clerk in Detroit, Janice Winfrey?
Yes, our legislative clerk, Janice Winfrey, she has pulled out all her measure stops the expanding voting rights in the city of Detroit. And so there are 9 days of early voting, which will begin on the new legislation law, starts October 26th. But Ms. Winfrey says she's going to step further. She's going to start October 19th of early voting. Early voting site is actually you voting on November 5th. You can vote anywhere from those two early voting sites in each district. So District 2 will have 2 early voting sites. District 1 will have 2 early voting sites. 3, 4, and also for 7. And so you can vote early there. If you live in the east side of Detroit, you happen to be on the west side that day, you can stop in the early voting site and you can put your vote right then and there. So we can have an early count. And so we're not waiting until 4 or 5 o'clock on November 6th to find out who won. We could probably find out who won about 11 o'clock at night. And so it speeds the process up. The process is more fair. And we're talking about that because, guys, last election we had in the primary, it was sunny all that week until the primary day. We had a hurricane. Mm-hmm. And so, again, this is Michigan. Anything can happen and weather. So take advantage of those early voting sites there. We're telling and encouraging everybody to go vote, but vote early. Our motto is be an October voter. And so, again, use those sites that are aware of. They're going to be in your districts. There are 2 in every district of the city of Detroit. And there are 2 early voting sites. So take advantage of them. Again, Ms. Winfrey has put all the stops to get access to voting. All she needs is the people to exercise the right to vote. And so our goal at Detroit Change Initiative and other folks that we're working with, our goal is to get 75 to 80% of the people in the city of Detroit to get out to vote this election. And that's our goal.
Well, and that's the thing, Norman. So also go into detail, too, just a little bit with our viewing audience about now, if you don't vote at the same place that you're registered to vote at, if you do the early voting.
Absolutely. So the thing is that if you're registered at a location, that's not an early voting site. You vote at another location. And so the early site locations are designated in the city of Detroit where your neighborhood is or your district is, so everybody in that district can get to. But you don't have to, you can vote anywhere. So I can live there. So it's a great use of your time. So before you used to go to this district and then they send you all the way down here, only one place. No, you can vote early anywhere in the early election, anywhere you can vote. And I'm going to read an information. If you're a Detroit citizen, city of Detroit, you can vote anywhere during early voting starting on November 18th, anywhere. And so if I live in Detroit, I'm registered in Detroit, I happen on the east side, but I live on the west side, I want to go vote, I can vote on the east side. Vice versa. And so we were telling folks that it is as close, it's easy an area. And then 2, I'm challenging my people because we encouraged early voting last time. Everyone said, well, I want to wait until I want to do my own research. You got Google at your phone. You got everything about right now who's running. And so all the research is there. If you look it up for people who are running, you can go to our website at dcimovement.org, or we can show you to michiganvoices.org or promotethevote.org to have a list of candidates who are running and who are running for the race and get information about those candidates there. And so information is there to research about who you want to support and vote, but make sure you vote, because so many times people say, I want to do my research and just take my time and look at it, and then this round, oh, I forgot to vote. And so we want to be done calling it. So do it now, since the voting process is beginning, and take advantage of all the openings that we have right now, especially in this election.
Well, you know, and that's important too, Norman, because I think one of the things that we're doing with Detroit Downriver A. Philip Randolph Institute is that during that early voting cycle, we're taking people to the polls.
Yes.
To vote. So if the voting locations, you know, might be on the other side of town from where you live at, we will be offering rides, and we're especially putting this information out in the churches and the nursing homes so that people can take advantage of that. And if you want more information about that program that we're doing with Detroit Downriver A. Philip Randolph Institute, all you have to do is to contact myself, and you can go on my email address and send me an email letting me know that you are interested in getting more details about wanting or needing a ride to get to the polls during the early voting, and also on election day. We're offering rides to people to take them to the polling sites and then to bring them back home. But my email address is dgriffin2253@yahoo.com. And we're also going to have some phone numbers too that we'll be disseminating out in the near future about where you can go and call to get more details about the same information. Because we know that people, we don't want there to be, as you said, Norman, no excuses for why somebody may not be voting.
Right.
And in some cases, the reason why people may not vote is because they can't get to the polling site. And then in some cases too, we know that they're putting a lot of energy and effort into getting people not to vote. And that's the question that people need to ask. Why are they putting all this effort out to put this misinformation out so that people may go to the wrong polling site or the wrong, location to vote in, and then they may get frustrated and then go back home instead of going to the other site.
Right.
And then at the same time too, people have to understand, if you're in that line to vote, if it's 8:00 at night, you still stay in line, because they still will be able to go and let you cast a ballot. But that's some of the things that people need to understand more about, what people are doing, trying to dissuade people from voting. So again, we reemphasize again, vote. And we talked about this the other day in terms of, say, research your candidates. Find out more about who's on the ballot, but most important, flip your ballots over, because you don't know. There's also as you said, Norman, you've got the school board candidates. There are judges on the reverse side of your ballot that also need your support as well. So, and then as you said too, could be a millage, information, could be a lot of different things that you don't want to miss out on. So again, make certain that you get out and vote. And lastly, take other people to the polls to vote as well. Encourage other people to vote. Because you need to, and some people are doing voting parties. And that's a real critical something that people need to do more of, is to have voting parties so they can get out and make this an enjoyable occasion, just like how people did watch parties for the Kamala Harris when she accepted the nomination for the president's, nomination. And the same thing when it comes down to having even debate watch parties when they watch the presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. So hopefully there'll be voting parties that people will go. And one of the things that I had said years past is that schools need to go and reward the children in the school who get those I voted stickers from their parents and bring them to school the next day. And then maybe they could have a pizza party for this classroom that had the most students that had I voted stickers on their lapels when they leave out of the voting precincts. All right, looks like it's time for us to wrap up. Our engineer, Henry Tyler, is telling us that we need to wrap up. So when Henry speaks, we have to follow his direction. So we are looking at making certain that people get out and exercise your power to vote. You're watching Truth to Power. My special guest today has been Norman Clement, Vicki Dobbins. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin. So stay tuned and have a great rest of this afternoon.